Well, gosh, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, LinkedIn community. It is an honor and pleasure to be hosting kind of the first, I would say, ISV Connect live stream program on LinkedIn. It's an honor and pleasure to have introduced Sarah Richmond and Tom Keiser to the call. And what we thought we would do is do a quick introduction of all of us on the phone and get started. So I'll start out first. So Brian Galicia, I lead our manage and recruit business for business applications for ISVs. And I am joined by Sarah. Go ahead, Sarah.
Good morning, Sarah Richmond. I'm the general manager at Microsoft, leading business development for the business applications and Azure data platform.
Great. Thanks, Sarah. And then, of course, our pleasure and honor to have Tom Keiser, the CEO of Hootsuite. Go ahead, Tom.
Thanks, Brian. Delighted to be here. Yeah, I'm CEO of Hootsuite. I joined Hootsuite in July. Have been working my way through this pandemic virtually, working my way into the role into the organization, and I'm delighted to be here today. I'm delighted that we've arrived at this day with this announcement that we've made this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. So before we get started, I thought we would kind of do a nice icebreaker for everyone, is just to say what's something that people will get to know you, Tom and Sarah, that isn't on your LinkedIn profile. I'll start because I asked the question. So what's interesting is I was actually on the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire show, not the real one, but the one that they used to do at Disney World. So several years ago, there was an event that was there, and was actually on the show within the park, and I got to the $32,000 question, and the question, I'll throw it out there, I won't give the answer, is if anyone remembers the Taxi sitcom back in the day, what was the name of the taxi company? That was the question I got tripped up on.
Wow.
So, yeah. Anyway,
I would get.
did you know that the answer was Sunrise, actually. Sunrise taxi company. And so anyway,
yeah, that's where you need access to Google.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Anyway, so we'll kick you off first, Sarah. What's something that you'd like to share with the LinkedIn community that doesn't show up on your LinkedIn profile?
Doesn't show up on my profile. If I could, I would be fly fishing somewhere in the world right now.
I think we all would under these unique circumstances. Thank you.
Yep, that would be something good.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, so fly fishing is on my profile, so I won't use that. But I fish as much as possible. One thing that's not on there, during this pandemic, as we've been kind of locked in our homes, I've become completely addicted to all things Peloton, which I was riding my bike some before, but now I'm doing 2 and 3 workouts a day. I've gotten back into weightlifting. It's a little bit out of control, and I'm slotting it in throughout the day. Wherever I have a 20 or 30-minute spot, I'm slotting it in the middle of work. So my teams are frequently seeing me with sweat dripping off the end of my nose while I come on the calls. But it's something that I absolutely love. I love the content and the products, and I keep trying to foreshadow what it's going to be like when we have some normalcy and I'm back in the office, and how am I going to fill this need that I've built. Anyway, it's not on a profile anywhere, but
Tom, we might have to swap profiles because I am there too.
That's right. We'll have to send you. Both Sarah and I will have to send you our Peloton IDs, because I'm a huge Peloton, as my team knows, I'm a huge Peloton fan as well. I actually did my workout earlier today. Well, I guess one quick question to follow up on that. Did you have a favorite instructor, either on the bike or the tread or the weights? Like, is there someone that's like your go-to instructor?
I ride a lot with Jess King.
Okay, yeah.
My primary rider, and then I lift primarily with Andy Spear.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Andy Spears is my wife's favorite instructor for weights and all
that.
If you guys haven't done the latest Beyonce collaboration, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I just saw that. I think that went live, Sarah, a week ago. I think they just started that. So
it's quite good.
Yeah. Anyway, well, Sarah, I think you have the first question. for Tom. So let's go ahead and kick this off and get to
Yeah, no, I was very excited about this partnership, primarily because I've just been amazed at the evolution of how what started out as social marketing has evolved. And I know when we talk with our customers, it's something that they're always asking about and really trying to understand more about their customers. And Tom, you guys are amazing at this. And I'm curious to get your point of view about like where you see this going and just how far it's evolved from the early days.
Yeah, it's a really exciting time in this space, and the pandemic in a lot of ways have accelerated the evolution of really the use that brands have of social media platforms. If you think about how it started with brands needing a way to publish, to kind of shout their message out on these platforms, and so it was primarily an exercise that was being executed inside of the social media management or social media team inside of the marketing department or the communications department. And what we've seen evolve over the last several years, but really accelerate during the pandemic, is it's a communications channel, and it's a channel really to get to the relationships that all brands and businesses are in search of to have with prospects and with customers. So the evolution is really from kind of this publishing, which is still very important, to listening deeply to what's going on in the marketplace, listen deeply to what customers and prospects are saying about your brand, about related products, just how their mindsets are shifting, and to be able to have relevant conversations and tying those conversations into the mainstream part of your business, as opposed to having it all managed out of the marketing department. So tying it into, there's a lot of customer support, there's a lot of product questions, there's lots of sales related messaging and questions. And so really figuring out how to tie together and connect what's going on in the social media platforms about your business, about your brand that's relevant, tying it into those mainline applications that you run your business off of. So it's social media really maturing into something that's not just a publishing space, but truly a space for business.
I think I read you guys call it social listening, not just social media, but social listening. Yes. And that evolution or concept of empathy that companies and can really demonstrate could not be more relevant than what we need today.
Yeah, you see really kind of ham-handed interventions that brands do sometimes when they're not listening, when they're overly aggressive of trying to pump out a message as opposed to truly listening. And the tools today around social listening are so powerful and can give you so much insights as to just small changes in the focus, small changes in the perspective, small changes in the temperature of what's going on that can really guide you if you're being thoughtful to when and where to message and how to be a part of a conversation, as opposed to brands frequently think they need to lead the conversation, that they need to be driving the conversation as opposed to being part of a community and part of a conversation and having valuable insights into that existing conversation. It's a huge mindset shift, and you're seeing it in governments, you're seeing it in financial services, you're seeing it in healthcare, you're seeing it in all the mom and pop shops that are trying to figure out how to work through this pandemic and get their businesses as healthy as possible and as relevant as possible in a very difficult situation.
Yeah, no, you're spot on, Tom. Because I think a lot of people sometimes think one side or the other. They think, gosh, these types of social capabilities is either marketing or sales focus or it's customer service. Sometimes they don't think it actually blends both sides, to your point. And wow, what is such a need in this new kind of way of, who knows, hopefully sometime in the near future, we'll get back to somewhat new normalcy, but being able to have that is everything you just described is definitely what companies are looking for, needing to think about and go do.
Right. Yeah, we don't see the return. I guess we've seen this transformation that we've seen that both humans have gone through, this digital transformation that we've all gone through, where we're all on social media and all effectively living our lives through digital connections, and what businesses have had to accelerate and evolve and transform to is the new normal. It's going to adjust as we move on, and you're seeing social media already starting to adjust as there's new entrants coming in and they're pushing new forms and new ways of communicating. But it's a very, very dynamic space, but the use and the engagement, we only see that increasing.
Yeah, no, you're spot on, Tom. And personalization, of course, you can imagine, it's not just putting stuff out there, but putting stuff that's relevant to what whoever that customer is engaging with. So the question for me is, so Hootsuite, of course, with the PR announcement we'll talk about towards the end, and it's great to have this partnership. What has the experience been like working with Microsoft? I know that you've worked closely with Sarah's team, you work closely with our team. From what you've seen and heard so far, what does that experience look like in partnering with Microsoft, particularly from an ISV perspective?
Yeah, we're really excited about this partnership and what it can become. You know, we're a 1,000-person company. We've got a little over 200,000 paying customers and about 16 million free customers on our platform. We're a 12-year-old company. We've been along the entire evolution and journey of social media platforms since the very beginning. And so as we arrive at this place where social media is really making it into the main line of how businesses want to interact with customers, a partnership with Microsoft, and specifically around Dynamics and getting more deeply embedded into the CRM platform, and trying to bring the relevant kinds of interactions and information over into the CRM platform to better enable our joint customers to be able to communicate in a relevant way is absolutely critical for unlocking kind of the next level of value that can come out of this. So the relationship, I would say, is off to a fantastic start. Sarah's been great about recognizing that Microsoft is a humongous company with a lot of things going on, and we're a small, very focused company, and really trying to make sure that we've got the right relationships and that we're working together in a very constructive way, and we're not kind of diluting the relationship by trying to spread it too thin.
Tom, I have loved working with your team. From the very first interaction that we had together, it was so clear to all of us that there was a real focus on the customer and thinking about the best ways to bring together our experiences. I think we share a common philosophy around just really trying to understand a holistic view of a customer and what they're doing, and being able to bring in the social listening or the intent that can be understood more closely. It was just clear from the start, and your team really leaned in. But I also really appreciated just the customer, return on investment and desire to think about what the end state or solution was. And Hootsuite did a great job of always bringing that to the forefront of the conversation, and it was clearly front of mind for everyone. So you guys have been fantastic to partner with on that perspective. I know our customers are going to love this experience. That's
great to hear. Yeah, the whole measurement of value around this space, has traditionally been very difficult, and because it was really siloed into the marketing organization, and it was thought of as a publishing and messaging, and as it moves into the main line of business, and you start seeing kind of the buyers of this set of services broaden out beyond marketing to CTOs and CIOs, to people in customer support, to folks in sales, that desire to understand the return for this. There's a fundamental belief there's a return, but really being able to measure it like you measure your other channels of communication is so critical. And it's been a big impetus and focus for us because our customers are asking for it. They're asking for it. They know it's there. They need the proof points around it. And the pandemic and the rising use, all boats kind of rose with this. And as traditional ways of advertising and marketing, in some cases, have gone away completely or been greatly diminished, And as ad dollars are so critical to be able to get right, that whole focus on ROI has become a front and center for us and for our customers. So I'm glad to hear the teams banging that drum loudly as we step into this.
Yeah, that's right.
They have been. I'm curious, Tom, as we've all had to tune our ears and listen more, or bring more of that empathy with, how we engage, whether it's with our employees or with our customers and our partners. Were there any industries or categories of customers that surprised you at how they actually have embraced this in a way that was unexpected? I often think of retail and big brands being right there, but everything has changed in the world today. Were there any that surprised you?
Yeah, the first industry that was just devastated by the pandemic was the travel industry, and really put back on its heels. And in the initially giant surges of rescheduling and cancellations kind of dominated the game around travel. But as this has gone on, these big relevant brands and travel related, whether it's hotels or airlines, or the different booking type organizations, are looking to keep a dialogue going and looking to have really relevant connections with their communities. And so as they've moved away from the traditional ways that you communicated in travel, big billboards in airports and big glossy magazine kind of things, and looking to connect, we've seen these really innovative approaches across social media to keep the interest effectively, to keep the engagement, so that we're all so hungry to travel, and that those particular locations and those particular experiences are top of mind as we hopefully get to a vaccine and we can start doing that again. So that's been really interesting to watch and see in industries that are just in really difficult spots. We've seen government agencies do some really interesting things. There's so much transition and change in government, and as governments focus have had to change in their interactions during the pandemic, of how they've thought about communicating to their constituents and how they're actually listening as opposed to just publishing as well. And it's across not just the communications aspects of governments, but it's also the recruiting elements of governments, as they had to change and look for different types of skill sets that they've needed to bring in that have been really interesting. And then the focus on ROI around really connecting the messaging and being able to measure, like truly measure return, has been really across all of the different industries. And I think what comes next as we get more and more connective tissue into CRM systems is kind of joint sets of unlocks that come around prospects and customers as we understand more of what they're interested in, of what the additional things are, what the additional products are that they may want to consume, where they're dissatisfied, getting earlier indications on that, so that you can take a more active position as a company with a well-informed position, not a finger in the wind position.
No, that's great, Tom. Yeah, I was reading some of the stories that we've had together. I think another interesting one, granted, it's interesting that pro sports can even continue to go through and all the logistics that they're doing to try to go that. And of course, Hootsuite being based in Canada, the Canucks being one. Have you seen specific how sports teams have also been driving conversations in this unique normal, because there's no fans in the stands? And so how do you stay, everything you've been sharing has been really fascinating, because that's the same experience. Like, you have no fans in the stand, but fans are still clamoring to feel connected through the digital side. So what have you seen certain things in the pro sports arena with that one example of others maybe that have also evolved and changed in this new way?
Yeah, I mean, we have, the Canucks have been customers for a while, and so we've had a great relationship with them, and they've pushed us along the way as well. They were early adopters to the whole focus on ROI and around their messaging, and making sure that the messaging, the information that they were out publishing, was leading to sales and to returns. And what all professional sports have had to do now, and all professional teams, is look for ways to stay engaged. They have such passionate followers around the teams, and how can you keep the team, those followers, those customers, those fans engaged for the inevitable day when you can return? And I think they're doing a great job of, it's publishing, but it's also listening and engaging in relevant conversations that are going on around the team, around the players, and around how they're thinking about their strategy. And I think, all sports teams are also having to think about their revenue model. Is this a fundamental shift of the way that these teams have monetized? Are we ever going to return to a day of, a packed arena, a hockey arena with 15, 20,000 people packed in it? Or is that a bygone era and it's something much smaller, and we've got to come up with different ways to innovate, to create the experience that all fans want to have around sports? It's going to be both challenging, but I think it's a real opportunity for a whole lot of innovation, leveraging technology and specifically leveraging these social media platforms to think about what that engagement would be like. And we saw some versions of that with the NBA as they kind of created their bubble, and they leveraged social media like crazy. Right. And created some unique fan experiences and some unique perspectives on how to watch the game. You were able to put cameras in different places. You were able to get a lot more information in the flow of the game. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this evolves, and is this a permanent change in the way professional sports operate, or is this just a point in time, and they'll be leveraging more technology as they go forward?
Yeah, no, those are great points, Tom. I think it's interesting because as you've witnessed, including myself and Sarah, cardboard cutouts. I mean, we've gone to some, the new fan normal is a cardboard cutout of yourself in the stands, to the flip side, which you're exactly was really fascinating, seeing us from Microsoft perspective using Teams as a mechanism to do that fan experience, and seeing, to your point, this huge billboard of fans, but all digital, using collaboration tools like Teams. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping from our side that we get to face off against the Canucks with our new team, the Kraken.
That's right. Yeah, Kraken. That's right.
What a great name.
I've also seen I've seen some industries that I didn't necessarily think of as having empathy, or not that I didn't think of them as having empathy, but really just didn't anticipate how they would adapt as we've gone, many months into this global pandemic. And in particular, when I think about the stresses that people were experiencing, either because they were concerned about what was happening from a financial standpoint, or how to think about retirement, or other types of things. Have you seen the financial services industry lean in here from a listening perspective, or adapt how they think about engaging with customers?
Yeah, it depends on which parts of the financial services industry. We have a very big customer base across that, but where you have financial services that is really touching local communities, that is more localized, which some of the big financial institutions most have some form of community base, something connected into local communities. Having the standardized sets of messaging and listening from headquarters, but allowing and enabling those kind of feet on the street in those local communities to be able to modify the messaging and still leverage the core tenets of the overall corporate messaging, but allowing for that localization and that local connection is certainly a massive move. It was underway before, but the pandemic has really driven that to another level. And then the social listening aspect of that, allowing for those institutions to be able to hear changes in perception. We've all gone through different stages of grief in this pandemic. And some of us are recycling back through that grief again, depending on where you are in the world, and being empathetic to that and localized. I mean, that's part of the beauty of social media platforms, is you can get very, very local in the way that you communicate and how you're communicating, and being attuned to that. And being informative to your local community of things that are going on there, that are services that are available. So yeah, there's a lot going on in financial services. And if you think about the traditional way financial services have published and messaged, and how dramatically that's changed during the pandemic, there's a lot of exploration. There's a lot of disruption going on in the space as well. That's super exciting.
I've just been struck by those organizations and companies that they've leaned in, and you can tell that those companies that are really trying to embrace this time to accelerate how they try new things. And it's fantastic to see that humanization really comes through, and places that maybe I didn't expect in the beginning, but it's wonderful.
Yeah, no, it is. My background is retail. I spent a lot of years in retail, and we used to fantasize about the day where, you could know the customer to the point of when they come into your store, you don't just know that they're there, but you know what they're there to look for, their purchase patterns, and you can be super valuable and efficient to them to provide that. Same on e-commerce. We're all on that quest of trying to bring that data together. And for so long, we would get closer and closer, but we'd still be a day or two off on when that customer was in the store versus when we had all of the data that would have been perfectly there for them. E-commerce unlocked that, but still hasn't completely unlocked it. But the social media platforms, all the preferences, all the things that we are all out openly communicating about ourselves, which can be much more informative to brands and how they communicate to us, is really starting to become real as we bring this together with all of the other traditional data that we've put together around customers to really unlock value for them and to create that one-on-one or one-to-one experience in a way that was just unimaginable not very long ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, Tom, because Sarah, myself, and you probably experienced curbside pickup. Like, who would have thought that would have become now the natural norm, where you could just drive up, say you're there, and someone brings out stuff to your car.
Oh, you don't even have to say you're there. I mean,
that's right.
They can see from your phone. Yeah,
that's right. I think the other interesting one is I'm not sure if if you have kids or if you're a big gamer, but the whole elusiveness of like these technologies, PlayStation or the Xbox, where it's like limited supply and all that stuff. And to your point, brands sharing things over social to give people awareness to when that's going to happen, or people finding out about a hidden link somewhere where someone can buy that solution, and all of a sudden in seconds sold out because of the ability to amplify that information so quickly.
I have a 17-year-old who's currently sleeping, who's about to turn 18, and most of every day for the last 2 weeks have been on the quest. Trying to find that special place to be able to get the next version of the Xbox. So.
Yeah, that's right.
I think my 2-year-old is still sleeping too, and I don't want you to say that too loudly.
Hey, so I know we're gonna run out. We're getting close to the time allotted for this session. I think what we could do is just, how do people find out more, Tom? What would be some closing comments? And Sarah, if you have any other last minute questions you want to ask Tom, but what are some of the things that people can do, Tom, to learn more about the capabilities that we do together, learn more about what Hootsuite does? What are some call to actions that you would recommend people who are listening to this go do, or even not just go to your site, but things that people should be thinking about in this new normal?
Yeah, we do a lot of research because we just have so much data out there. So we've released a social transformation report and a social trends report over the last couple of months, which are really relevant and show a lot of the changes in behavior that are happening out there, and some of the acceleration, which I think are just really interesting for brands of all kind to think about, like, what this means for them. I would say that's one piece. So you can go to our website, you can find all of that, and there's a bunch of subsequent webcasts and things around that. On the partnership with Microsoft, you know, we've had a relationship. We're taking that to a new level, and I think, you know, the opportunity that we collectively have, we have such big customer bases between the two of us and a lot of overlap, is, you know, to doing some really interesting experimental unlocks to show and kind of open everyone up to the opportunity that they have around some systems that they may already actually be using or maybe underutilizing, that can unlock ROI and can unlock better and different customer experiences. And I'm really looking forward to getting deep into what those can be. We have such a great foundation between the two companies of technology and of data, and bringing that together and unlocking that, I think, is going to be really exciting over the next months to watch that play out.
Tom, I'm right there with you. I would just agree that being able to bring in all of this data about customers is so fantastic. And I'm really excited to see where it's going to go with our customers. I know that they just embrace this, and I can't wait. And it's really been a delight to partner with Hootsuite. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Tom. I can't thank you and the team enough for the partnership. I put in the just in the comments section, aka.ms/Hootsuite ISV is the PR announcement that Tom had mentioned earlier in the call. But thanks again, Tom, for spending time with Sarah and I. We truly appreciate it, especially early in the morning. Well, it may not be early in the morning for some people listening to this, but early in the morning on the West Coast, and I see your little dog pop behind you. Behind you. So
that would be Ringo.
Stay well, be safe again through this new norm. Happy holidays. I know it's kind of weird to say that, but it's like we're hitting the holiday season here in North America. So happy holidays to you and your family. And again, thanks again, Sarah and Tom, for spending time with us this morning on LinkedIn Live.
All right. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate it.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.